Kevin, did you have a good time in London? Ethan? And Kevin? Hey, Phil. Hey. How many interviews did you get this time?
38 and 39, maybe?
You need a mic. 38 interviews?
Something like that. Or 4, I don't know. It's hard to keep track.
That's not too bad. All right. So we had a host for the startup competition that you probably, of course, have heard, Ben Metcalf, who is the host of our startup competition, and he's also with WP Engine. Ben? It looks like Ben is somewhere hidden. So how did it go, Phil? There we go. Hey, Ben. You were having coffee or something, tea?
That's right. Just taking my time, having a cup of tea, seeing as we're in London.
No, let's make it clear you're very busy, making sure that everything goes right.
That's right. Everything's under control. Everything's great.
Right, because we have candidates there ready to pitch, so I know you're busy. Ben, tell me before we start just about your company, because you have a job in addition to just being a cool host of our startup competition.
I do. When I'm not hosting startup competitions, I'm a founder of a company called WP Engine back in the States, and we're essentially a managed WordPress hosting platform that takes the hassle out of running WordPress. So if speed, scalability, security is important, that's what we do for clients, from small bloggers through to companies like VMware and HTC and Gap and SoundCloud and Foursquare. I think some of these companies are here today. So it's cool. We're very happy.
And business is good.
Business is good. We're killing it or crushing it or whatever the saying. I don't know what your sayings are.
And very little
crushing
funding. Very little funding, right?
Pardon?
Very little funding.
Yeah, we took 1.2 million, including from Automatic, which was great, the people that make WordPress. So.
And you're break-even.
Yeah, we're happy.
You're happy. Cool.
Yeah.
So, great. You want to talk about the startup competition?
Yeah, let me talk a little bit more about what happened. So there were over 600 startups from across Europe that applied, which is absolutely amazing. I think this is the 3rd time that I've done the startup competition with LeWeb. And I think that's the biggest turnout we've had. And I think it's just testament to the leaps and bounds that the European startup community has seen over the years. So from the 600 that applied, our friends at the Guidewire group went through and reviewed the startups and analyzed them and brought to us the 16 that they felt were the most promising. So those of you that were with us on the 2nd stage yesterday would have seen that we went through all 16. Everyone gave some good demos. We had some great commentary and questions and feedback from our panels of judges. But at the end of the day, all of that information had to be fed back into the computers. And from that, we came to the conclusion of 3 finalists who are going to present to you this afternoon. And the way this will work is each startup will review and present their startup to you. For 5 minutes. We'll then take 5 minutes with the judges behind me, asking questions, giving feedback, and then we'll move on to the next startup, and after the 3, we'll go off stage, the judges will deliberate, and then we'll come back on and announce, of course, who is this year's startup winner. So I think from that point, if there's nothing else, we will bring out our first finalist startup. I'd like to introduce to the stage Blipper, please. Please welcome them to the stage. Thank you. Please say.
Good afternoon. I'm Jess Butcher, and I'm CMO and co-founder of Blipper. So what is Blipper? Technically, we're an image recognition and augmented reality platform for smart devices. Practically, does a consumer really care about any of that? No. Blipper is a new verb and a new behavior for consumers to blip, which is the action of instantaneously converting anything in the real world into an interactive experience. What do we mean? Let's show you. So Blipper is a free app from the iOS and Android store, and it opens up the camera of your device as an image recognition shell from which you can convert anything in the world around you. For instance, this poster of Jurassic Park. A QR code on steroids. Simply tap it, and you can go straight through to the film trailer. Or this, an advert for Clinique that appeared above the line on press and outdoor. Further information on the product, you can go through and find out about the science and how to apply it. Or this, which is an advert that we did with the Tesco KX energy drink.
Just wanted to present.
You can't hear that, but it's a very noisy klaxon. Certainly brand enhancement in terms of waking you up with that energy. Very, very powerful. And here we have an advert for a clothing retailer. Simply blip the page, and it becomes an instant shop that you can scroll through and then go ahead and actually buy any of the products. So very, very powerful. Could be a magazine ad, could be a poster, could be a shop front that converts into an interactive shopping experience. So how about this? Product packaging on the shelf in the grocery store, or maybe even in your kitchen. An instant recipe book to cook with the product and to download the information to then put in your pocket and take around you with your shopping. Very, very powerful applications for the grocery market. And finally, something I hope many of you have in your pockets, the Oyster card. Focus. And there we go. No augmented reality there at all. That is just image recognition through to an immediate response. So why this technology? Hopefully some of those demonstrations have gone some way towards explaining why the tech. It's instantly converting the physical old world into an interactive experience, and one that is proactively requested and pulled by the consumer. It's unparalleled levels of engagement and dwell time with these experiences, and it's content that's delivered straight to their hand, into their pocket, and for future reference. And it's beautifully measurable and accountable. Down to the very last blip, we can see exactly what consumers are doing with this technology. And through this platform approach, we're also building an audience of consumers who are actively seeking these sorts of experiences in the world around them. Why Blipper? We've had a very exciting last year and haven't slept a great deal. We are very proud to claim the fastest technology in the world today, but also the broadest range of applications and the different things that we're pushing the technology to deliver to the consumer. But it's our approach that really sets us apart. We consider this to be a marketing medium, and we're all about harnessing its power within different verticals and within different ways. But our track record is very strong. Here are just some of the brands that we've worked with over the course of the last year, and most as paying clients, a number of repeat campaigns with many of them. So we have very strong financials and are cash positive at this very early stage. We've also attracted the attention of Qualcomm in the seed round that happened at the beginning of this year, and they're actively working with us on a Series A. And 0 to 20 staff in under 1 year, so growing very, very rapidly indeed. Here you can see just one of the examples of a recent campaign that we've done around the south of London. That was just one campaign. You can see we're painting the map orange. So where do we see this technology going? What's the future for it? Firstly, for the behavior, we really see users second screening with the world around them. Everything that is static and physical, they can second screen with. We want content to be developed with this very much as a medium in mind, not the mashing together of existing content, but something novel and innovative in this augmented space. We also think media will be bought according to how well it converts for this. We'll know which billboards convert well, which press titles have a longer dwell time for this sort of interactivity. And we also see this takeaway element to the content becoming more and more popular as the augmented reality aspects may diminish and the novelty wears off. As far as our business is concerned, as mentioned, we're actively seeking a significant Series A round right now. And we're also internationally expanding, opening up a New York office this month. We want Blips to be built ultimately by the brands and the media owners themselves and not by us. We do operate as an agency in the short term, but we want to give away the verb and give away the platform for the world to harness. So, guys, you Google, you tweet, and you like a lot of things. We sincerely hope you'll be blipping very, very soon. Thank you very much.
Thank you. I'm going to nip over here so that everyone can see the judges. So both of our Kevins on stage, I know you both have a lot of mobile experience. Would either of you like to kick off with the first question?
I like going first. So I had 2 questions, actually. Can I do 2 really quickly?
Okay.
Do I only get one? Number 1, who produces the creative? So when you saw the 3D dinosaur, is that the client doing that? Are they engaging you guys? Who's doing that work?
That's a brilliant example, actually, of how our tech has evolved. That dinosaur was the case of 2 techies and a designer left in an office late one night. We were asked to hover a play button, and they found a dinosaur and decided to put it there instead. We have been an agency, and we offer creative services, but increasingly we work with the agencies so that they will deliver that content to us. The challenge is making it the right content, which is why we are currently in this sort of consultative cycle to say what does work and what doesn't work, which is also where the platform plays in quite nicely, because we know when not to put a disproportionate amount of effort into a very, very complicated build if the above-the-line activity for that isn't going to justify it. So we want to empower the creatives to own this. They know their brands best. They know their style guides and their preferences. So they should be creating the content for us, and Blipper will simply associate the 2 together.
And the second question is, how do you see this evolving in terms of just your app versus being able to use the technology in other people's apps? Should it just be your app that you distribute and people download this app to see this stuff? Or me as a brand, can I have my users download my custom whatever app and view these things as well?
Both is the answer. I think the tech will evolve in 2 ways. Blipper as a platform has been designed for the spontaneous conversion of things in the real world, where you might not have been looking for a particular experience, but you're at the bus stop, or you're reading a magazine and you're invited to try on virtual nail polish. That's the spontaneous conversion of that push to a pull. And the use of that verb will help us to get that platform onto everyone's phones and that behavior launched and into the market. Going forward, we do see some really nice applications for in-app usage, particularly for retail. I think there are some lovely applications there where you could blip products to get more information about them and add them to your basket. Or say it's a brand like Weight Watchers that's looking for the points value on different products. So the same marker can be harnessed in lots of different ways according to the application that app owner wants to use it for. So we see the distinction as being acquisition and marketing through Blipper, and CRM and longer-term engagement with the customer through this behavior in-app, absolutely.
We're about halfway through our questions, I should warn you, but Kevin, Rose, do you have any other?
Yeah, I mean, I see this as, I get why brands are attracted to this. I mean, it's really cool. The first time you see it, it's very compelling. It's exciting. The dinosaur was awesome looking. But how do you really get users to, outside of that wow factor of using it for the first or second time, how do you really bring people back into that application on a daily basis? I think that for, children's books or kind of choose your own adventures books, like this could be a really fun thing to do. But I just don't see myself like wanting to explode the world around me every single day. It seems like information overload and there's a lot of jumpiness going around, and I could just go to Heinz.com if I want to get a recipe.
Sure. I think the content that is delivered through this as a medium will dictate how successful it is. It's got to be exclusive. It's got to tell a story. And it's got to be something that they can't do from any other medium. And then obviously we're trying to leverage times of boredom when people are in high dwell time environments or they're enjoying a coffee with their magazine. So certain formats will work much better than other formats. The other answer to that question is to build more of a social model, which is something that we're actively looking into, where you can get consumers engaging more with consumers through the technology and how we can best harness that. Now, we have lots of evolution and R&D going into the product that will enable that to happen. But a great example, like the Justin Bieber stuff that we've been working on this week, it's very emotive, high-passion environment, and we've got lots of consumers sharing pictures of themselves with Justin with each other, and then they're coming back, downloading, having a go, and comparing, and pictures with their dogs and their grandma. And we've got to keep it as social as possible, but harness utility, exclusive, and storytelling engagement through the medium.
We've got about 60 seconds. Ethan?
Yeah, so I agree with Kevin. I thought that it gives a great demo, like it has a really high GWiz factor. But when I kind of boil it down, I guess my question is like, how is this different or better than QR codes, other than doing image recognition instead of QR code recognition? And how are you going to succeed where QR codes haven't?
It's a content medium, so it's not just a web linking digital bridge, it's the delivery of that content instantly to the phone, into the device, and into the pocket. And it's very, very interactive. We do a lot of gaming applications, for example, off pack, which there's nothing QR-y about that. That's not going through to a website. That's actually that very, very high dwell time with that product and with that brand in the augmented content medium. So we need consumers to be putting more content into the app as well, absolutely. But in the short term, it's just about finding as many compelling touch points as possible and reasons to blip.
Awesome. I'm afraid we're out of time. I have to leave it there. But thank you very much, Blipper.
Thank you.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
It's a very frustrating format, but it's the exact same for everyone, and we try to be really careful with the time. If I could ask you to just ask short questions so that they have a maximum time to answer.
Kevin did 2 last time, so that's his fault.
I'm going to be doing 2 every single time.
I was very brief.
You were very brief, Phil.
Now, children.
I asked Phil's question.
Okay,
so it's
so let's move swiftly on. Our next startup out. I'd like to welcome Hojoki, please. Let's give them a round of applause.
Hello there, my name is Martin Böhringer. I am CEO of Hojoki. When I finished university a few years ago, I decided to stay there a little bit longer to do a PhD. So suddenly I was a researcher, and so I started to do what researchers do, right? So I did experiments, and I coded software prototypes, and I published papers. And I didn't do that alone, but together with lots of collaborators from all over the world. And like everyone today, we used cloud apps to support this process. So it took me a while to realize that I use lots of cloud apps. Lots of cloud apps with lots of collaborators in many, many, many projects. And I'm sure that many of you guys know how this feels. And to be honest, I completely lost the overview. I had no idea what's going on, what my collaborators were doing, or what the current status of my project was. And I thought, wouldn't it be cool to have one single place to see what's going on in all my apps? Wouldn't it be cool to have a Facebook-like newsfeed for all my cloud apps? And that's exactly what Hojoki does for you. Hojoki connects to all your cloud apps and shows you what's going on there. So here you see that Tina just created an event for me, or Lutz updated a shared notebook on Evernote, right? And Danilo committed new source code, and so on. Of course, Hojoki notifies you of any changes, and we also send you a very neat summary email of what you might have missed. So let's go to a short live demo of what Hojoki can do for you. So can you see it? Now you can see it. So here you have a list of our integrated apps. So you have apps like Box or Dropbox, Evernote, GitHub, the Google apps, and so on. And I'm sure that most of you guys use at least 3 or 4 of those apps. Now, you connect them with basically one click, and what Hojoki does is it builds this newsfeed. So like with your Facebook newsfeed, you can just scroll through your Hojoki newsfeed to see what's going on and what happened in the last hours. And so you see that my team back at home was really busy, as always. And if you find something interesting, you can just open it to see some details. And you even can open the file from within Hojoki. Right? So that's really cool. And that's the essential of Hojoki. And to be honest, I wouldn't be able to run Hojoki without Hojoki anymore. And luckily, I'm not the only guy who loves our product. And just have a look at our user numbers to prove that. We launched back in December at LeWeb in Paris with our public beta for the web app. And we now have over 30,000 users. We grew 40% last month after we launched our mobile apps. And the best thing is that we just started. We just started to implement our ideas. I want to give you an impression of how powerful Hojoki's newsfeed is. So in all those apps you integrate into Hojoki, you already have collaborators, right? And they already form kind of a micro-social network for each app. And Hojoki's newsfeed takes all those social networks and integrates them into one big network, into one big graph. We call it the work graph. And as Facebook is your entry point into your social graph, your friends and family and stuff, Hojoki is your entry point into all your collaborators and all your content from all your cloud apps. Right? We already started to implement some very exciting features. So very soon you can flip through your screen and through your feed, and you can just say, hey, I like this activity, or I comment this activity, no matter what cloud app you use, right? So that's really cool. And this is the team behind Hojoki. We are 8 people. 6 of us are coders with an engineering background, and we raised seed capital last year, and we are going to raise an A round end of this year. So if you are an investor and you like what you see here, then just contact me. It would be great to talk to you. And for everyone else, I think now it's time to head over to hojoki.com, get your free account, and never miss important updates from all your productivity apps anymore. Thank you very much.
Well, thank you very much. So I think I saw an Evernote elephant in a couple of those slides. So Phil, I'm wondering whether you have any questions or thoughts.
Sure. So that was great. Very impressive. Thank you. I think that what you're trying to do is very useful, but I can't really think of too many billion-dollar companies or products that have been created specifically as an integration of other companies. So I wonder, like, if you can express what the product does without immediately resorting to just showing logos and icons of other companies? Like, what is it specifically that's magical about your thing, above and beyond the fact that it integrates really well with all of these other cloud apps? Like, can you stand on your own, at least in your first 5 minutes, without reference to other companies?
Yeah, of course. I mean, Hojoki shows you what happens with your work, right? In your work network, with your collaborators. And I mean, in these days, we have a cloud, and the cloud means that work isn't done in only one big system, right? But you have lots of small apps and many more popping up every day, and so we think that this is the future of the cloud, so many small apps, and so this is a very unique situation. We hadn't had it before, so we really see the need for one app to integrate all of them.
Thank you.
Yeah.
So an app like Hojoki definitely benefits from the API ecosystem. Ethan, I wonder whether you have any comments or thoughts.
Yeah, so I struggled a little bit as Phil, just to kind of get my head around the specific use case and how this stands apart from all the other apps that it works on. On the one hand, I can see a tremendous amount of value in being kind of the starting point for every other enterprise application in the enterprise. Yet at the same time, the enterprise is a pretty lucrative business. And so I can imagine that pretty much anyone that's working in the enterprise doesn't want you to get between them and their customers. Mm-hmm. So I mean, I guess I would kind of ask you, like, how do you address that, or how do you, like, what happens if in the enterprise, either getting blocked from these specific applications, or other larger apps just kind of rebuild this? Yeah, I mean, first of all, it's important to know that Hojoki is for everyone who uses cloud apps for productivity, right? And so we are not looking at very big corporations where you have a CIO who asks you strange questions about your security or something. We are for each individual person to increase the productivity. So you don't have to ask somebody to use Hojoki. It just works. And you don't have to bring all your team members on Hojoki. It just works if only you, for yourself, use it, right? And what was the second part? What we use are open and public APIs, right? And APIs are very important for apps, to create your own ecosystem. So we think it's very unlikely that apps will, change their API just to be not nice to us. I mean, actually, we try to build very sustainable relationships to our apps. So this was also how we did marketing. So we got most of our apps, including Evernote, to do marketing for us, right? We are featured in the Evernote trunk, for example. We talk to them, we talk about their API, and we try to listen. And if an app comes, like GitHub did a few weeks ago, and says, hey, you're causing really lots of API traffic, then we see what we can do to improve the situation. So it's not, we are not addressing a core value of all the systems. We add additional value, and we think that they see it in the same way.
Kevin Rose, what do you think?
So I feel like for a project manager, this makes a lot of sense, someone that needs to stay on top of everything that's going on across all these different cloud-based apps. I agree in that I don't think it's a huge business, but it could potentially be a very lucrative one for you. I mean, why don't you just charge $15 for the app and just don't raise money and just charge for it?
Yeah, we could do that. We could also sell today to one of existing collaboration players, right, who want to have activity streams in their apps. But as I told you with the work graph thing, I think there's really much more potential inside. The thing with Hojoki is we already have this information for collaboration, right? So we don't need a separate layer on top of it. You don't have to administrate, your workspace or something. You can just set it up, and we can be the entry point into the collaboration. And I see a huge growth potential there, right? And it's not only the project manager, but take us, we are a startup with 8 people, and a few students, and a few freelancers, and so on, and everyone has to know what's going on. And as soon as the conversation of this startup, of our startup, is on Hojoki, everyone is involved. It's not just me as a CEO, it's everyone checks Hojoki every time, right? Because this is where the work gets done, and this is where you have visibility to your team.
I'm afraid, once again, we are out of time. We'll have to leave it there. But thank you very much, Hojoki.
Thank you.
Our final startup for this LeWeb startup competition is Teleported. Please welcome Teleported to the stage.
Good afternoon. Stan and myself, Gabriel, are the co-founders of Teleported, and it's an incredible pleasure to be here this afternoon. We provide real-time search and delivery of public mobile photos. That is to say, photos that are taken with a smartphone and posted on a public social network, such as Twitter, Instagram, or one of the 14 services that we currently index. We want to make it incredibly easy for our customers to search for, select, moderate, and display the photos that are relevant to their business, be it a topic, an event, or a product or service that they're selling. And this comes from a stream that can sometimes reach over 150 photos per second. Smartphoneography has changed the way we produce content on the ground, and it's a revolution that we want to harness. We really believe that every single consumer-facing website will want to enhance their online experience by recent and relevant photos that are taken by people who the users and visitors can relate to and identify with. By making all this content searchable by location, by keyword, in time, we're solving the problems faced by media, events, and brands specifically. Imagine being able to cover the Greek elections last Sunday as a Brazilian reporter with nobody on the ground, or as the Euro event organizer, being able to tell the fan story in Ukraine or Poland, or as converse, being able to show crowdsourced content that is going to enhance the experience of future potential consumers. We have 2 products, an API, to which more than 220 developers have signed up over the past 3 months, and Capsules, a user-friendly interface to easily select, moderate, and push to the web the photos that are relevant to you. We're still in restricted beta on Capsules, but we'll be opening that up very, very soon, so you're welcome to go to teleported.com and sign up.
Okay, so I'd like to show you what a capsule is. So let's say I'm LeWeb, and I would like to show really awesome real-time content streaming live from the event through pictures. So what I do is I create a capsule, and I embed a plugin like I would embed a video, a YouTube video. Then I log in into my capsule management UI, and I start searching. I can search by keywords, by location, and by time. So if I'm searching for LeWeb, here you go. You've got good pictures taken by the crowd, and maybe I can refine my search to add the location, so the Methodist Central Hall, Westminster. Here you go, and here I'm pretty sure that I have only relevant content about the event. So I'm going to go on and add a few pictures, add this one backstage, add one here, and here you go. The capsule contains 3 pictures, and then I can go back to my website, hit refresh, and the plugin displays the photos that I've selected.
So we're incredibly happy with the first people that are using our services, and one story that I did want to tell is the one of Yoko Ono, who launched a project called Smiles Film 2 days ago in New York. 45 years ago, she dreamt that the movie to end all wars would be a movie of 6 billion people smiling. That was a bit hard to implement 45 years ago. But now, thanks to crowdsourced social photos, she's able to ask people to participate from the world over, and we're powering the experience on the desktop and the mobile applications. Our business model is to charge a subscription for professionals who use our service intensely, And when licenses are required, because the intellectual property of these photos is, of course, with the author, to generate a commission as they're purchased through our platform. We're entering a blue ocean market rather than anything else, and we believe we have an edge over the incumbent players in that space. Some traditional stock photo players are generating in excess of $1 billion in annual revenues, but they're at a risk of cannibalizing their already existing and profitable business by focusing on crowdsourced content. We're not at all doing the same thing as Google Images. Google Images is focusing on web photos versus app photos, and it's a very different set of implementation altogether. Because we're focusing on B2B, we're delivering a very different experience to Twitter search, so that's also very different. Our competitors, they do exist. They're generally startups. Some are well-funded, both in Europe or the United States. But we see their presence more as a validation of our vision than a true risk to our future success. We're a team of 6 engineers at the heart. Co-founders graduated from Stanford together. And we are fortunate to have the network of Seed Camp, the accelerator based in London. We're currently raising a seed round. We really believe that a picture tells a better story than 1,000 words. But very soon, we believe that it will be almost disappointing not to see a recent photo, not to see a relevant photo, not to see a photo that you can believe in or relate to. Thank you very much for your time.
Kevin Systrom, I believe you've been quite successful in the mobile photo space. Any thoughts?
Yeah. So what's the most unexpected use of your service so far, and why are you excited about it?
One of the first things we started doing with 150 new photos per second is algorithmic event detection. So being able to generate points of interest solely based on photo activity. And the way people have been logging into Teleported and asking us over Twitter or other services, hey, are you spotting something? There's a hostage situation in Toulouse. There's something going on downtown. I can't identify what it is. One of our interns was in New York and pitching to his aunt why he should come and work for us for almost nothing. And 23rd and 4th, I can't remember the exact address, but downtown Manhattan was completely blocked off. He was able to actually identify that Barack Obama was there. So that's an unexpected use case that has proven very, very powerful.
Any of the other 3 judges have a burning question? I don't know who to go to next.
Real quick, you, it was helpful for me to see like the B2B, B2C live, because to be honest, I struggled to understand what you're doing prior to that. When you say you're in the B2B space, are you like pre-negotiating deals to get rights for these images? And do you actually have, you know, kind of the whole tracking and financial attribution system tied in the back already?
Yeah. So, and again, another advantage of looking at app photos rather than web photos, the original author is printed in the metadata that we get when the photo pops up. So we reach out to authors when a license is necessary, and we're reaching out on the platform that photo was posted on and saying, you know, your photo is interesting to a bunch of people. Do you actually want to either make money with it or donate that money to charity or maybe Creative Commons license it? And we're seeing incredibly high conversion rates on that because people have posted them out for free, but they're really annoyed when other people use them without their consent. So that's something that was built in from the start, and that loop exists, yes. The micropayments is being worked on at the moment, but we believe that there will be means that, you know, other players have already implemented to generate revenue for the authors and pay them out accordingly.
Phil, I think you've only asked one question. Do you have a question?
So what percentage of photos, excuse me, maybe somebody else can speak.
Sorry. Kevin Rose.
What percentage of photos are good?
What percentage of photos won't make me lose my voice? What percentage of photos do you think are going to come from professional photographers whose job is to take pictures and sell them, and what percentage do you think are going to come from, you know, people snapping pictures with their iPhone who just opportunistically may respond to a request from you?
Really interesting question, because some professional photographers have sent us emails asking to sign up to our service when there really is no sign-up process needed. Being in the right place at the right time is something that is awfully hard to predict, even for professional photographers. So some very, very powerful Hudson River landing photos are definitely going to come from the crowd. We do believe there's an opportunity for more professional photographers to use the service, or at least to benefit from it. But they're already taking fantastic photos with a DSLR. They have a deal with Getty Images or Corbis. And it's not necessarily the same experience that is going to be the final result. And especially if you think about artistic projects such as Yoko Ono's, then the goal is to actually have as many people on it as possible.
Now we can get to you, Kevin Rose.
So what's to prevent someone like Twitter doing the same thing and detecting all these photos and coming up with events? I mean, is your advantage to the fact that you're cross-platform and across different types of services?
Yeah, I know at least another Kevin in the jury that would confirm that a lot of photos are not coming through Twitter. There's definitely an interest for Twitter to build an experience that can detect stuff, and that's probably one of the reasons that we have an extremely good relationship with Twitter, and that they talk to us a lot. We're fortunate to have that privileged relationship because they're focused on building an awesome experience for consumers, and taking their focus away from that to build a tool that is more useful to people who actually need the moderation side, maybe the control, maybe the attribution and licensing thing. Although it's something that they're definitely looking at, it's something that they can't really devote too many resources to.
We do have time for one more question. Kevin, System?
What's the breakdown in terms of sources? You said how many new photos a second?
Up to 150. I mean, the spike is 200, but that's fairly rare.
Sure. So like 150 photos per second. Give me a breakdown of like where those photos are coming from, and as more and more photos are taken on mobile, like where you think they're going to come from in the future.
Yep. Leading players in no particular order: TwitPic, YFrog, I'm gonna start annoying you, Instagram, and Twitter, pic.twitter.com, which we saw take off with iOS 5 integration and how native that became. Flickr is an interesting player, high rate, not necessarily as real time, and sometimes used as a second repository for photos that were taken on another platform. So deduplicating links is interesting on that.
And I think it depends also on the geography. Like in SF, there's a bunch of Instagram. In Tarrier, there's almost only Twitter.
Yeah, Arab Spring photos were all coming from BlackBerry clients and stuff.
Awesome. Well, I think we're going to leave it there. Thank you very much, Teleported.
It's a tough format. Huh?
It is a tough format. Are you going to explain what happens next, or shall I?
Go ahead.
OK, so what's going to happen next is our judges are going to go backstage to deliberate, and we will come back in, I think, about 20 minutes with the final results and some prizes.
Good luck.
Thank you.
I can't wait for the comments. Thank you very much. And thanks, Ben.
Thank you.
Wow, it's
we
amazing.
keep clicking.
Try that again.
We keep clicking
amazing.
like that. That's strange.
It's your hair or something.
Well, or your lack of hair. No, I'm just kidding.
Thank you, guys.